A young man returning from NYSC died in a ghastly car accident. This is a true life story that happened in Akwa in the southern part of Nigeria. He died and was buried. But years later news came. He was alive, living his best life yet, with his wife and children. How can the dead still be among the living? You'll want to stay for the ending. This story might change how you see and think about everything. The thunder rolled across the expressway, angry and violent, shaking buses and scaring pedestrians into diving for shelter. And somewhere on that same road, a commuter bus carrying young graduates returning from NYSC struggled against the night. It was supposed to be the happiest day of his life. NYSC was over, certificate in his bag, white uniform dirty from travel, but joy flooding his heart. The bus was packed with excited graduates returning home. Someone sang a song about finally becoming corpus way dawn finish. And everyone laughed. Outside the windows, rain hammered the road like stones thrown by an angry cloud. Inside the bus, laughter echoed. The corpers were excited, planning their futures, joking about how they would finally eat home-cooked food after a year of service in unfamiliar places. Usen sat by the window, his face lit occasionally by lightning. He had always been the quiet one, the thinker among his friends, but that night, even he was smiling. He kept replaying the thought in his mind. Home. Home after a long, exhausting service year in Enugu. Home to his mother, his younger sister Mfon, his cousins, his village. He imagined his mother dancing when she saw him. He imagined Mfon disturbing him for gifts. He imagined sleeping on his old bed again. He calls his mother with the little battery he has left. Usen pressed his phone to his ear. I'm close. Maybe 2 hours. I bought something small for you and Mfon. He says, trying to sound strong even though fatigue weighs on his voice. This rain is too much, but by God's grace, I will reach tonight. His mother's voice burst with pride. Come safely, my son. We are waiting. His mother laughs gently. My son, you have tried. When you reach, knock on the door. Don't bang it like those Lagos boys. Mama, is that how you welcome your corper? He jokes. At least prepare afang soup. If you like, don't come and wash plate when you arrive, she fires back. Every corper must do kitchen duties. Their laughter fills his ears. He ends the call and rests his head on the window. Outside, lightning flashes. The road curves, wet and dangerous. The driver increases speed, too confident, too careless. The road was narrow, slippery, with bush on both sides. The driver complained loudly. Government no day try. Look this road. One day people go die here. That statement turned prophetic. The passengers begin to murmur. Oga driver, slow down now, someone shouts. I beg no rush us, a woman warns. But the man keeps pushing forward. Usen wipes fog from the glass, watching the dark blur of trees rush by. He can almost smell home already. His sister Mfon would be waiting at the gate, jumping into his arms. His mother would hug him like she never wanted to let go. His eyes begin to close. Then screeching breaks. Screams. A blinding flash of headlights. A tanker truck appeared suddenly from a curve, skidding wildly. Horns blared. Screams erupted. The bus driver swerved too late. The collision was brutal. Metal twisted like boiled fishbone. Fuel splashed, sparks flew, and fire exploded in seconds. Flames swallowed the bus. Trees lit up like torches. Passengers trapped inside beat on windows, crying for help. Screams, coughing. Then silence. The sound of rain disappears. The world becomes smoke and screams. Somewhere in the chaos, a young man tries to crawl out. People yank at twisted metal, trying to save whoever they can. But the flames rise too fast. The rain fights the fire, but the fire wins. By morning, the highway is a graveyard. Armed officers, safety workers, and shocked villagers gather around burned wreckage. The bodies are piled, charred and unrecognizable. The air smells of burnt tires, metal, and death. An NYSC ID card is found in the ash, melted at the edges but readable. Usen Okon. A phone smashed by heat was found beside it. His wallet too. Every sign pointed to one truth. He was dead. Someone whispers, "This boy's people need to hear." The news travels like lightning. At the Okon compound, neighbors gather. Women tie wrappers around their chests. Men stand in silence, Children peep through windows. When officers arrive with the ID card and the news, Usen's mother collapses immediately. Neighbors rush to revive her, but she wailed as if her soul had been ripped in half. She could identify his body with the wristwatch his father got him when he graduated from the university. His sister collapsed on the ground, scratching the sand with her nails, screaming his name. Even the strongest men in the community wiped their eyes. Usen was young, promising, full of life. A good boy. A respectful son. A gentle soul. Death felt unfair. No, she screams, tearing at her clothes. He called me. He said he was coming home. You are lying. Bring my son. Bring him. Mfon grabs the officer's uniform, crying, "Where is my brother? Where is he?" The officer can't talk. His throat is tight. The village priest and elders try to calm the family, but grief is a storm with no mercy. The funeral follows weeks later. A casket is lowered into the ground while a choir sang, "Abide with me." Nobody sees the body. There is nothing recognizable to show, but the wristwatch that was on his wrist. The priest speaks of life, death, and eternity. Mourners weep. Friends sing slow dirges that echo through the compound, and threw in handfuls of earth. Each thud against the wooden lit a final goodbye. "Mfon, leave this place," someone tells the sister, but she refuses. She throws herself on the coffin, beating it with her fists. "Why didn't you come back? You promised me you would come back. You promised." Her mother faints again. Women fan her, pour water on her face, but the woman is broken beyond repair. A mother should never bury her child. That day she was a shell. She sat in her black dress, staring at nothing, seeing everything that would never be. Her son would never marry, never give her grandchildren, never build the house he'd promised her. All those futures died with him on that highway. When the final sand covered the coffin, when it was done, when the grave was filled and the tombstone set, everyone believed they had laid Usen Okon to rest. The family is never the same again. The compound goes silent. Laughter becomes rare. Some nights, they hear the mother crying alone in the kitchen. Some nights, Mfon wakes up shouting his name. The seasons change. Time moves. People heal, or pretend to. Neighbors stop visiting. Friends stop calling. Life continues, even when a heart doesn't know how. 3 months passed. Grief is a strange companion. It doesn't leave, but it changes, becoming something you carry rather than something that carries you. Usen's mother learned to smile again, though her smiles never quite reached her eyes. Mfon returned to her teaching job, though she sometimes forgot what she was saying mid-sentence, her mind wandering to her brother. Life, as it insists on doing, continued. Then one market day, the world changes again. Mfon goes to the market to buy gari and plantain before the evening rain. The sun is hot. Vendors are shouting prices, customers haggling, children running around. She feels the tightness in her chest, the same ache that never left since her brother died. She wipes sweat from her face, hands full of shopping bags. She is passing a row of vegetable sellers when she freezes. Suddenly, someone brushed past her. She turned sharply, and her heart stopped. There, by the bus park, stands a man. Tall. Slim. Same forehead, same shoulders, same walk. Same face. The water leaves her mouth dry. The bags fall from her hands. Her voice cracked. "Usen?" The man froze like a statue. Slowly he turned. For a split second, their eyes locked. Recognition flashed. Fear followed. Without a word, he pushed through the crowd. She screams his name with all the strength in her lungs. "Usen!" Heads turn. Market women gasp. Passers-by stop to stare. Goosebumps rise all over her body. She runs toward him. But he runs too. He sprints through the crowd, pushing past shocked traders, leaping over baskets, scattering tomatoes and onions across the floor. "Stop him!" Mfon screams. "That is my brother! Stop him!" People watch in confusion. Some laugh. Some shake their heads. People stared as she shoved through bodies, jumping over crates, tomatoes flying, baskets falling. He ran fast, too fast, dodging bicycles, weaving through traders. Mfon grabbed his shirt, but he yanked it away and vanished between two moving buses. She stood shaking, sweating, heart pounding. A woman asked, "Madam, Why you day shout? Who be Usen? She sobbed, pointing toward the road. That was my brother. My brother is not dead. I know what I saw. Some whisper. Grief dawn confused the girl, some whispered. Her mind dawn break. Usen disappears into the chaos of the market, like a ghost. Fawn falls to her knees, crying and shaking. A vegetable seller touches her shoulder. My child, your brother is gone. Let him rest. But Mfon looks up, eyes red, voice firm. That was Usen. That was my brother. I saw him. The women exchanged glances, the kind of wordless communication that speaks volumes. They helped her gather her scattered shopping, pressed some money into her hand to replace what she dropped, and escorted her to a taxi. Go home, dear. Rest. Maybe see a doctor, eh? Sometimes the mind plays tricks when we've lost someone we love. Mfon stared out the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. She wasn't crazy. She knew her own brother. But how could he be alive when they'd buried him? When they'd mourned him? When his grave sat in their backyard, flowers wilting on its surface? When Mfon returned home that night, the compound was already dark. The air was heavy, the silence uncomfortable. She pushed the gate open and staggered toward the house, eyes swollen from tears, voice nearly gone. Her mother was sitting in the corridor, plucking bitter leaf into a bowl, trying to occupy her mind with anything that wasn't grief. Mama, Mfon whispered, dropping to the floor beside her. The old woman didn't look up. What happened to your shopping? Where are the things I sent you to buy? Mama, Mfon's hands trembled. I saw him. You saw who? She asked, voice thin. Usen, Mfon breathed. I saw Usen at the market. The bowl fell from her mother's lap. You will not say that, the woman snapped. Don't open your mouth and call the spirit of the dead. Mama, I am telling you the truth. He looked at me. Her mother stood up, shaking her head. No, 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 no. Each word cracked like breaking bone. My son is dead. We buried him. Don't torture me like this. Mama, look at me. Mfon grabbed her mother's hands. It was him. The same face. The same voice. The old woman pulled her hands away. Grief is making you see shadows. Don't speak of this again. She went inside, shutting the door before Mfon could say another word. But that night, when everyone slept, the mother went into her late son's room. She touched his old NYSC picture, tracing his face with trembling fingers. Tears slipped down her cheeks. God, if this child is alive, show me, she whispered. While in Lagos, hundreds of kilometers away, the truth was walking around in plain daylight. Usen's spirit had boarded a bus to Lagos after being seen by his sister Mfon. He lived in the bustling parts of Suralere. At first his unrest soul worked as a bus conductor, sleeping in a small kiosk behind a mechanic workshop. But time shaped him. He got smarter. He gained wisdom and detected means to success faster now that he wasn't human. He started selling phone accessories. Then phones. Then repairing them. Within 6 months, he had a small shop and 2 employees. People respected him. Life rewarded him. But every time lightning flashed, or a bus horn sounded, he froze, reliving the fire, the screams, the chaos, and how his unfulfilled life was cut short. His wealth began to build uncontrollably. Some people said he was a ritualist, some said to be God's blessings on a hard-working man, some thought him to be a seer of the future. Either way, Usen's enterprise was growing. People went to him for business and investment ideas and consultations. Tiniola was his anchor to this new life. They'd met at a pharmacy where she worked, her bright smile and easy laugh cutting through his carefully maintained distance. She'd pursued him relentlessly, undeterred by his mysterious reluctance to talk about his family or his past. Everyone has secrets, she'd said when he tried to push her away. I don't need to know everything about yesterday. I just want to be part of your today and tomorrow. So he'd let her in. Not all the way, never that. But enough to fall in love, enough to marry her in a registry wedding with just her family present. Enough to give her 2 beautiful children, Damalola, age 3 and Eno. His in-laws had thought it strange that his family wasn't present at the wedding. Tiniola's mother, a stern Yoruba woman, had been particularly vocal about her displeasure. What kind of man marries without his people present? Is he a ghost? Were you born from the air? If only she knew her words were true. Tiniola had defended him. Mama, his family is based abroad. They couldn't make it on short notice. They sent their blessings. It was a lie he'd fed her, and she'd accepted it because she loved him. But lies like debts eventually demand payment. 3 years into their marriage, the questions were becoming harder to deflect. Tiniola wanted to visit his family, wanted her children to know their paternal grandparents, wanted to understand why her husband never called home, why no one from his side ever reached out. Usen, we need to talk, she said one evening after putting the children to bed. She used his assumed name naturally now, having no reason to doubt it. He looked up from his laptop, already knowing where this conversation was headed. About what? About your family. About why my children don't know their father's people. About why you always change the subject whenever I ask about your parents. Usen felt the walls closing in. Tenny, we've discussed this. My family situation is complicated. Complicated how? She sat down across from him, her expression a mixture of frustration and hurt. Are they dead? Did you have a falling out? Are they criminals? What is so terrible that you can't even tell your own wife? It's not that simple, he said. Then make it simple. Her voice rose, startling them both. Tiniola rarely raised her voice. Do you know how humiliating it is when people ask me about my in-laws and I have nothing to say? When my mother asks when you'll take me to meet your people, and I have to make excuses. I'm your wife, Usen. I bore your children. Don't I deserve the truth? The truth. If only he could give it to her. If only he could explain that the man she married is a walking dead, that his grave was watered with his mother's tears, that somewhere in Akwa Ibom his family believed him rotting in the ground. How do you confess to something like that? My parents are dead, he said finally, the lie tasting like ash. Both of them. There was an accident years ago. I don't have siblings. I'm alone in this world except for you and our children. Tiniola's face softened, guilt replacing anger. Oh Usen, why didn't you tell me? All this time I've been pushing and you were carrying that pain alone. He let her hold him, let her comfort him over fictional dead parents while he was the dead one. But Tiniola's mother wasn't as easily convinced. Her believed in proper traditional practices, in knowing a person's lineage, in the importance of family connections. And she didn't trust her son-in-law's convenient story. Dead parents? No siblings? And you never thought to mention this before marriage? She confronted him during a family lunch at her house. What are you hiding, Usen? Mama, with all due respect, my family history is my private matter. Private matter? She scoffed, her voice carrying across the dining room. There's nothing private in marriage. You married my daughter. Those children playing in the yard are my grandchildren. I have every right to know where they come from. Tiniola tried to intervene. Mama, please. Not now. Yes, now. When is the right time to ask these questions? When your husband has finished erasing his entire existence. She turned back to Usen. I'm giving you 1 month. Take my daughter and her children to your hometown. Show her where you grew up. Let her meet someone, anyone, who knew you before Lagos. If you don't, I'll have serious questions about who you really are. Or are you married somewhere else? Do you have another family? Did you commit a crime? What are you hiding? He turned away, putting his hands over his face. The ultimatum hung in the air like a blade. Usen felt his carefully constructed world beginning to crack. He could refuse, but that would only deepen the suspicion. He could continue lying, but the lies were piling up, becoming harder to maintain. That night, Tiniola lay beside him in the darkness, her voice small and uncertain. Usen, is there something you're not telling me? I mean something more than your parents being dead. His heart hammered. What do you mean? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm married to a stranger. Like there's this whole part of you I can't reach. Are you in trouble? Are you running from something? Yes, he wanted to scream. I'm running from a grave with my name on it, from a life that was cut too short before it even began. But instead he said, no, I'm not running from anything. It's hard to talk about my past. It's painful. Then let me help carry that pain. Let me in, Usen. Please. Usen didn't say a word. He held her tight instead, kissed her on the lips, and they made sweet love that night. The pressure built over the following weeks. Tiniola's mother called daily, asking about travel plans. Tiniola herself grew distant, hurt by his continued reluctance. The children sensed the tension, becoming clingy and fretful. Finally, cornered by circumstances and running out of excuses, that night he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling while his wife cried softly beside him. Eventually, before dawn, he whispered, "We will go." Tiniola turned shocked. "To see your family?" He nodded. "You want to meet them? Fine. I will take you." She hugged him tightly, unaware that his heart was pounding like a drum. He had buried his past, but now the grave was opening. A week later, they packed bags and hired a private driver. The children were excited, singing and eating biscuits in the back seat. Tiniola held his hand, smiling. "This will be good," she said. "Your family will be happy." He forced a smile, but sweat gathered on his forehead. Hours later, when the car approached the borders of Akwa Ibom, Usen's breath began trembling. Familiar trees, familiar roads, familiar signs. Everything hit him like lightning. Tiniola chattered happily about what she would see, asking questions about his childhood that he answered with a mixture of truth and careful fiction. "Did you go to this market as a boy?" she asked, pointing at a small market by the roadside. "Yes, many times." "And where did your family live?" "Not far from here." As the vehicle reached the outskirts of his village, there was the roundabout where he used to wait for buses to school. The church his mother dragged them to every Sunday. The field where he played football with friends who probably spoke of him in past tense now. Just a few streets from his family compound, he suddenly leaned forward. He spoke sharply. "Driver, stop." Tiniola frowned. "Why?" He opened the door. "You will go with them. I will join you shortly. Let me greet my uncle first. He'll be mad if he knew I passed without stopping by." Tiniola frowned. "Let's go together." "No," he snapped too quickly, then softened his tone. "Please. Just go. I will catch up." Reluctantly, Tiniola agreed. The driver continued toward the family compound, and Usen stepped out of the car, watching them disappear around the bend. He stood still for a long moment, breathing like someone trying to stop himself from collapsing. When the car reached the family house, children playing outside paused, staring curiously. Tiniola stepped out, holding her kids' hands. She smiled warmly at the older women sitting by the veranda. "Good afternoon. My name is Tiniola. I'm Usen's wife. Are you his mother?" Her voice rang with pride. She had dreamed of this moment, the moment she would meet her in-laws, be welcomed, be embraced. But the reaction she got was not love. It was horror. Usen's mother froze. Her hands went numb. The cup she held dropped, shattering on the cement, water spilling across the ground. Her eyes widened in terror, not confusion, terror. Her voice trembled. "Who's whose wife?" Tiniola laughed nervously. "I said, I am Usen's wife. We just arrived from Lagos." The compound fell silent. Older uncles stood up. Aunties stared. Children ran inside. Mfon stepped out from the kitchen holding a bowl, saw the visitors, and stopped dead in her tracks. Tiniola continued, oblivious to the growing fear. "He's just down the road. He will soon be here." He wanted to greet his uncle first. No one spoke. Finally Mfon whispered, "It can't be. It can't be." The driver tried to help. "Madam, we picked Oga from Lagos, and he was with us on this journey. He dropped just 2 corners from here to greet somebody." Their mother began to shake uncontrollably. "No, don't say that." Tiniola stood frozen, her heartbeat pounding. "I swear I am not lying. He is my husband. And this is our children." She pulled her kids forward. "These are his children." The children looked scared, hiding behind her dress. One of the elders stepped forward. "Come inside." The family led her into the sitting room, quiet as a grave. The walls were filled with family photos, and at the center of the biggest wall was a large framed portrait. Usen, smiling in his NYSC uniform. Tiniola's eyes beamed. She walked closer. "That's him, that's my husband," she smiled. The room erupted in tears. His mother slapped her chest. Mfon sank to the floor, crying so hard she could barely breathe. My son is dead. His mother muttered. Tiniola's smile faded. What do you mean? Mfon's voice cracked. We buried him. We buried my brother with our own hands. The words hit Tiniola like a slap. She laughed awkwardly. You're joking. Why would you joke like that? But the look on their faces said this was no joke. Tiniola felt dizzy. Please, where is my husband? Nobody answered. Instead, they took her outside, past the backyard, to a small fenced area, showing her where he was buried. She stared, shaking her head. No. No. He is alive. I live with him. He sleeps beside me every night. We have 2 children. Tiniola collapsed on the ground. Her children began screaming, confused and terrified. For 6 years, the family visited this grave. For 6 years they placed flowers. For 6 years, they cried and prayed for his soul. Now, a woman stood before them claiming she was his wife. Neighbors began to gather. Whispers filled the village. Maybe she's lying. Maybe she's possessed. What if he's a ghost? Everyone had theories. No one had proof. Hours had passed but Usen didn't show up. The driver tried calling him, but the phone was switched off. The uncle sent young men to search the community. Some said they saw a man dressed like a traveler at the junction earlier, heading toward the main road. Some said they saw nothing. Tiniola sat in the living room trembling. She held her children close, too scared to cry, too shocked to believe. Madam, an elderly auntie asked gently, when last did your husband speak of home? Never, she whispered. He never speaks about family, or his state, or his childhood. He said he doesn't have anyone. Someone asked for pictures. She opened her phone and showed them wedding photos, family photos, birthdays, anniversaries. There he was, smiling, carrying children, cutting cake. Alive. Healthy. Real. They pressed the phone near the portrait. It was the same man. The room filled with murmurs and fear. That night, the village became chaos. Neighbors rushed in with lanterns. The news spread like wildfire. Men searched every corner, bush paths, motor parks, shops, abandoned houses, but there was no sign of him. It was as if the moment the car left him behind, he ceased to exist. The family prayed, cried, argued. Some accused Tiniola of lying. Others begged her to stay until he returned. Deep in her heart, one thing became clear. She had been married to a ghost for years, even had children together. Fear and disbelief gripped her. Tiniola sat in a corner of the room, holding her children close. Dammy, the older of the two, whispered, Mummy, where is Daddy? Tiniola swallowed hard. I don't know, baby. Eno, the younger, started to cry. Her tears dripped onto Tiniola's dress. She rocked them, trying to soothe them, while rage and helplessness gnawed at her. The children cried themselves to sleep in her arms. The air was thick with tension. The neighbors who had stayed to watch murmured in disbelief. Night stretched, dragging hours into the deep blue of pre-dawn. Somewhere, far away, a bus roared along an empty highway, cutting through the fog. And on that bus sat Usen. He stared out the window, seeing lights flash past, small villages, lonely shacks, markets long closed. For a moment, he imagined a hand reaching for his, a familiar voice calling his name, the warmth of a home that was never really his anymore. He shook his head. No, he can't leave this world yet. Not like this. The bus drove on. The night swallowed him whole. Back at the compound, the mother sat on the ground and hugged her knees, rocking back and forth. My son, what is really happening? The house filled with grief and unanswered questions. The Okon family waited for a miracle that might never come. If you enjoyed this story and want to know where Usen's spirit is headed, don't forget to like, comment part 2 and where you're watching from, and subscribe for more gripping tales. Share this video with someone who loves mysteries. Thanks for watching.